power, in its most primitive form, was always about the loudest voice or the sharpest sword. But we aren't in the Middle Ages anymore. In the 21st century, power doesn't scream. It doesn't march through the streets with banners. It sits quietly in a cooling server room, processing billions of data points before the sun even rises. If you look at the landscape of Silicon Valley, you see the giants everyone knows. Google wants to know what you're searching for. Meta wants to know who your friends are. But there's another player, one that doesn't care about your search history or your vacation photos. It cares about the patterns you don't even know you're creating. Welcome to Palantir, named after the indestructible Seeing Stones from Tolkien's world, stones that could see across time and space, revealing things far away or yet to happen. It's a fitting name for a company that has become the central nervous system of modern intelligence and corporate strategy.
Palantir Technologies, founded in 2003 by Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, and others. Initial funding was provided by In-Q-Tel, the venture capital arm of the Central Intelligence Agency. The company produces 3 primary platforms: Gotham, Foundry, and Apollo. Its mission statement: to empower organizations to effectively integrate their data, decisions, and operations.
Empower organizations. It sounds like something you'd read in a brochure for a mid-tier accounting firm. But when those organizations are the CIA, the NSA, and the Pentagon, empowerment takes on a much heavier meaning. To understand Palantir, you have to understand the chaos of the post-9/11 world. The intelligence community didn't lack information, they were drowning in it. They had millions of pieces of a puzzle, but the pieces were kept in different rooms, in different languages, on different systems. The left hand didn't just not know what the right hand was doing, it didn't even know the right hand existed. Palantir stepped in not as a data collector, but as a master weaver. They built the loom that could pull threads from bank records, flight manifests, cell tower pings, and satellite imagery, and weave them into a single, terrifyingly clear picture.
The Gotham platform is specifically designed for investigative and counter-terrorism purposes. It allows users to identify hidden patterns within massive, disparate data sets. It was reportedly instrumental in the tracking of high-value targets in the Middle East and is currently used by law enforcement agencies worldwide for predictive policing models.
Predictive policing. It's a term that sounds like it was ripped from a Philip K. Dick novel. The idea that an algorithm can tell a police department where a crime is likely to happen before the 911 call is even made. But Palantir's reach goes far beyond the battlefield or the police precinct. They realized that the same logic used to find a terrorist cell could be used to find a bottleneck in a global supply chain or a fraudulent transaction in a trillion-dollar bank. This is where Foundry comes in, the corporate version of the eye. From the NHS in the UK to Airbus and Ferrari, the world's most powerful entities are handing over their internal data to Palantir. They are trading their autonomy for clarity. They want the oracle to tell them what to do next. But when you outsource your decision-making to a black box, who is really in charge? The CEO sitting in the corner office, or the engineers in Denver who wrote the code that tells the CEO what the reality is? We're pausing here because the patterns we're discussing aren't just for governments. They apply to you right here on this platform. You're part of an ecosystem that thrives on engagement and data. If you want to support our mission to bring these hidden structures into the light, there's a simple way to do it. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and most importantly, leave a comment below. Tell us, does the idea of an all-seeing algorithm make you feel safer, or does it feel like a quiet end to human agency? Your engagement is the fuel that keeps this channel running against the grain. Now let's get back to the shadow.
Data integration analysis. Palantir does not store data on its own servers in a traditional sense. It acts as a layer that sits on top of an organization's existing data silos. This architecture allows Palantir to remain invisible to the general public while remaining indispensable to the infrastructure of the state in the market.
That invisibility is their greatest asset. Unlike Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, doesn't spend his time trying to be your friend or your hero. He is a philosopher king in a tracksuit, talking about Western values and the defense of democracy. But Peter Thiel, the man who started it all, has a much more complicated view of democracy. He once wrote that he no longer believes that freedom and democracy are compatible. And when the man who holds the keys to the world's most powerful surveillance software says that, we should probably pay attention. Palantir isn't just a software company, it is a manifestation of a new kind of sovereignty. In the old world, a king ruled because he owned the land. In the industrial world, a titan ruled because he owned the factories. In the digital world, the sovereign is the one who can synthesize the truth from the noise. Think about the sheer scale of what they see. During the pandemic, they tracked the spread of the virus and the distribution of vaccines. They know where the ships are in the ocean. They know which banks are over-leveraged. They know which political movements are gaining traction before the journalists even hear a whisper.
Recent expansions include the Artificial Intelligence Platform, or AIP. This allows for the integration of large language models into military and corporate decision-making. The system can suggest tactical maneuvers in a combat zone or supply chain adjustments in real time, effectively reducing the human in the loop to a final approval click.
A final approval click. That's the endgame, isn't it? We aren't being replaced by robots in chrome suits. We are being replaced by a suggestion engine that is so fast, so broad, and so consistently right that it becomes impossible to say no to it. When the screen tells a general that a drone strike has a 98% probability of success, or tells a CEO that firing 10,000 people will increase efficiency by 12%, the human becomes a rubber stamp. This is the silent coup. It's not a revolution in the streets. It's a revolution in the spreadsheet. Palantir has made itself the indispensable partner of the West. They have positioned themselves as the only shield against the chaos of the 21st century. But a shield that sees everything is also a sword that can be pointed anywhere. We live in an age where knowing has become the ultimate weapon. And Palantir is the largest arms dealer in history. But they aren't selling bullets. They are selling the ability to see through the fog. The question is, what happens when the fog clears, and we realize that the eye looking back at us has been there all along?
As of 2026, Palantir's integration into government infrastructure has reached a point of vendor lock-in. The cost and complexity of extracting their systems from national security frameworks have made the company a de facto branch of the state.
A de facto branch of the state. Unelected, unaccountable, and nearly impossible to remove. We used to fear Big Brother, a central authority watching us from a television screen. But the reality is much more subtle. Big Brother isn't a person, it's a process. It's a series of algorithms that categorize us, rank us, and predict us. It's a company that named itself after a magical stone and then spent 20 years making that magic a reality. Palantir is the oracle we asked for. We wanted safety, and they gave us surveillance. We wanted efficiency, and they gave us algorithmic control. We wanted to see the future, and they built a machine that makes the future they've predicted inevitable. You've reached the end of the file. If you've made it this far, you're already looking for the patterns. The story of Palantir is just one chapter in a much larger narrative about who really runs the world in 2026. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure you've liked the video and shared it with someone who still thinks their privacy is their own. Don't forget to subscribe. We have more files to open, more giants to deconstruct, and more truths to uncover. The world is changing fast, but the patterns are there if you know where to look. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with the next file soon.